Kings and Queens, welcome to Castle Sports Talk. This is Junior talking. And if you're interested in NFL fantasy tips, I will be having a video about my favorite NFL fantasy receivers and running backs, rookies and vets. I've been doing this fantasy football thing for a long time, man. Ask my peers. I'm a man amongst men when it comes to this fantasy stuff. And my fantasy gems will be on my next video. But for this video, I want to talk about my draft reactions. Reactions of multiple things, really. My initial thought process and my initial analysis of everything that went down this weekend. First thing is the wide receiver market inflation. It's going crazy. Devontae Adams got a $30 million contract from the Raiders. Tyreek Hill got a $29 million contract from the Miami Dolphins. And they were disgruntled until they got those contracts. And now other top receivers in the league is like, where's my money? You've seen A.J. Brown be disgruntled in Tennessee until he forced his way into a trade to the Philadelphia Eagles on a 4-year, $25 million contract. You see Deebo Samuel's going through the same disgruntled stuff, wanting that new contract. And receivers moving forward will be wanting this highly overpriced, in my opinion, contract, which is the wide receiver market now. And there's a wide receiver market inflation because receivers were never getting paid this high. And now you got top 10 receivers, in my opinion, which is A.J. Brown, receiving $25 million a year. Not for a top 10 receiver, man. And the way teams are battling this market inflation, and rightfully so, teams are like, I don't want to pay for these receivers. They're battling this market inflation at wide receiver with young rookie wide receivers, young, cheap rookie wide receivers. And it's very, very interesting to see how these rookies perform versus how these big contract receivers perform in the next 4 years. This is history in the making in a very uncertain time in the NFL when it comes to wide receivers and these contracts and building your franchise. How things play out the next 4 years will shake up the NFL moving forward. So it's interesting. It's interesting to monitor Treylon Burks versus A.J. Brown the next 4 years, knowing the pay difference. It's going to be interesting to monitor Garrett Wilson versus Tyreek Hill the next 4 years, knowing the pay difference. Interesting to see Devontae Adams versus Christian Watson, and even Juju Smith-Schuster, knowing the pay difference. If you want to know if these $30 million contracts to top 10 receivers is worth it when building a franchise, just monitor the rookies from this year's class the next 4 years. Raiders, Miami, and Philly, which delved into these huge contracts for receivers, will have a big swing and a miss if they don't win rings with these guys. And I don't think they will. There's an interesting stat saying only one player in the history of the NFL has won a Super Bowl while being the highest paid player in their position. And that's Rob Gronkowski. You pay any position too much money, and it's going to rehabilitate your team, which is why I'm against it. Next thing I want to talk about is the New England Patriots. WTF, man. WTF. Patriots just make me laugh, cry, and angry at the same time. First, I want to vent about a quarterback that they picked up. A quarterback competition at quarterback for Mac Jones is healthy, but it's not as important as a position you need, like linebacker or defensive end. I don't even want to get into that. That was a silly, stupid pick. Tyquan Thornton in the second round, I like that fit for the team. But a reach in the second round, and even you picked them before George Pickens and Sky Moore. That's dumb. George Pickens is a clone of A.J. Green to me. You look at his measurables, you look at his 40 time, and you look at his tape. It just screams A.J. Green, and this dude, I guarantee, is going to be getting 12 touchdowns a year. While you have Tyquan Thornton probably struggling to get 40 receptions a year, you're going to be looking over next door at Pittsburgh and see George Pickens getting 12 touchdowns a year. Even Sky Moore, who I'm not a big fan of. I don't think he's anything amazing. Not great height, not great separation. But he's a better, more complete receiver than Tyquan Thornton is, who you picked before Sky Moore. Sky Moore, I think, will be kind of like a Keenan Allen, who has really good footwork and great on third downs. And Tyquan Thornton is can't even be that. In the same way we compared N'Keal Harry to receivers Bill Belichick chose him over for, like Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, and A.J. Brown, we're going to compare Tyquan Thornton to George Pickens and Sky Moore, and even linebackers that were available like Leo Chenal and Nakobe Dean. That was just a silly pick, man. Silly pick. And don't get me started on Cole freaking Strange. The strangest pick of the draft, Cole Strange. I feel disgusted to even talk about that. I don't know why you picked him so early, and I hate to talk like I know what I'm talking about, because I'm a humble dude, but oh man, I don't know what the heck the Patriots are thinking. And it's crazy how they drafted Marcus Jones. They have a slot corner already, and then they picked up Marcus Jones, who is only a slot corner. He's 5'7". And although he's talented, I'm not high on him. In my last video, I said Jalen Armour-Davis will have a better rookie season than Marcus Jones. And Jalen Armour-Davis went to the next round. I don't know what they're doing, man. Marcus Jones is not versatile, which is why I'm not high on him. And who knows if he's even going to be functional at the slot position, which is the only place he can slot into. And then they went Jack Jones the very next round, another slot corner. And they picked him up in the 4th round when he's a 7th round projected prospect. Now you have Jack Jones and Marcus Jones, who can't even fill in, can't even try to produce and fill in for some of the production J.C. Jackson left behind when he went to L.A. They can't even go to the outside because they're not outside corners. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking. I do like their Pierre Strong pick. I do like it. He's a good running back. I liked him going into the draft, and I like the fit in New England, solidifying that run game. But their best pick won't even see the field that much, with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris earning their time ahead of him. Your best pick won't even see the field? I don't know, man. A head-scratching draft, and I think the worst draft in the league in 2022. Next, I want to talk about the winners. The clear winners, in my opinion, are the Eagles, Ravens, Jets, and Titans. Okay, honorable mention to the Seahawks and the Chiefs, and also honorable mention to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had my favorite pick in the whole entire draft. Let me talk about the Eagles first. Eagles added Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. Make that scary run defense that they want and need. I can't believe Nakobe Dean fell to the 3rd round, a 1st-round projection falling to the 3rd round in a position of need. Beautiful pick for the Eagles. He's just a steal. And Jordan Davis being that 6'7" monster running 4'8" up the middle, it's going to create a lot of holes for Nakobe Dean to take advantage and use his skills on the field. So you look at the additions as a whole in Hassan Reddick, my guy Kazir White, the tandem of Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis, bringing back Derek Barnett on the edge, and still having Slay. That's a really good team and nucleus you have there. And this draft complemented all these players that they already had and the team that they're building towards. And then you got A.J. Brown. You added A.J. Brown, who's obviously such a great piece for that offense. A.J. Brown is better than any receiver they could have drafted. So forget that 1st-round pick they gave up. And forget that debilitating, hindering contract they just gave him. Because this signing puts them over the top, which is the only way I could find giving out a contract like that worth it. All right, so the very talented skilled players and the well-invested good offensive line will help Jalen Hurts be the best that he can possibly be. I see them making it to the NFC Championship, probably losing, because Jalen Hurts isn't the guy to lead them properly in the most important position of all sports. So that's a winner in the draft. Then you got the Jets. I don't got to say much on them. Look at their 1st round. They picked up the best cornerback in the draft. They picked up maybe the best receiver in the draft. And they picked up Jermaine Johnson at pick number 23 at such a great value, who's going to be able to come in and do damage. Okay, the Jets are looking pretty good right now. And then in the next round, you get Breece Hall to solidify that running back room with Michael Carter, who I love, and Breece Hall. You thought Tevin Coleman and Michael Carter was a good tandem? Watch out for Breece Hall and Michael Carter, man. And then the wide receivers they got with Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Corey Davis, they all complement each other so well. And the running backs complement the receivers, so and vice versa. Zach Wilson is good with the weapons he got. I'm glad they're sticking with Mekhi Becton at tackle. But just in case, they got some useful insurance in my guy Max Mitchell, who I projected to go to the Chargers. It's fine. He went to the Jets. If they went tackle to replace Mekhi in the first round, they wouldn't have Sauce or Garrett. So I love the moves the Jets made. The Jets, dare I say, will battle closely to win the wild card spot. In the AFC. Dare I say, the first day picks tell me yes. They're going to be battling the Patriots and other teams in the AFC for the wild card spot. Next, I want to talk about the Titans. How am I going to have the Eagles big winners in the draft and the Titans? Because I just did. Titans avoided disaster signing A.J. Brown. His injuries scare me, and he isn't a top 5 receiver in this league. He isn't worth that contract. They got rid of that headache, and I like using the term debilitating contract. They got rid of that, and they picked up Treylon Burks, who is a great prospect. He is a great, fine prospect. He's a good receiver. He will impact the team from the jump, and he will only get better with time. And on a team that's run first, they're not going to rely on him. I like rookies that aren't relied on to be Superman. So I like Treylon Burks in the situation he's in. I would be cheering with this decision if I was a Titan fan, even though I lost A.J. Brown. I would be cheering. You picked up Hassan Haskins, who is a big body guy, to maybe fill in for Derrick Henry when he's hurt, and even pick up where he left off when Derrick Henry's gone. Hassan Haskins is that good of a running back, in my opinion. And then you got Malik Willis, who with 1 year with coaching with Mike Vrabel has all the tools to become the next Deshaun Watson. He won't have to come in because you got Ryan Tannehill. Man, if they do a good job with him, he could be the next Deshaun Watson, and watch out. So these two moves with Hassan Haskins and Malik Willis immediately make that team a contender even beyond the Tannehill and Henry era. It ensures a smooth transition. And with a coach like Mike Vrabel, that means a lot to have a good team with a good coach for the foreseeable future. Then they picked up Petit Frere, was a huge value. I love that guy. I love that offensive lineman. Again, he has all the tools to be a Pro Bowler. If he gets his weaknesses coached on, then he could be nasty. And then you got Okonkwo, the tight end, who is one of my favorite picks, or one of the funnest picks in the whole entire draft. He's 6'2 and a half, 238 pounds at tight end. Henry at running back is 6'3", 247 pounds. They run the exact same 40 time at 4.540. This dude, Okonkwo, is literally what Henry would be if Henry were a tight end. Call me crazy, but I can see Okonkwo being in that running back room with Haskins and Henry. I love that. I think that's so fun. Okonkwo's best trait is run after the catch, so he's athletic enough to be running back. Or he can even be Jonnu Smith's replacement, who had an amazing year in Tennessee, being the number 1 tight end who was really good after the catch. Ryan Tannehill's $38 million contract expires next year. They'll have Willis to come in, and they can spend that money that they just shed off on a $20 million wide receiver or 2 $15 million receivers, or use the money on the offensive line or the defense. They can do many different things, and they will remain dangerous, and they are set up to continue producing. I love the Titans draft, even though they got rid of A.J. Brown. I also want to talk about the Seahawks. First I want to talk about the Ravens. I'm sorry. The Ravens literally had one of my favorite drafts, maybe even of all time, man. They got Kolar. I love that pick, who has the measurements to improve as a blocker. fits great with that team and that tight end room because we know the Ravens do love their tight ends. Even with Mark Andrews, they still utilize all their other tight ends. Falili fits great with that team. He just reminds me of such a Baltimore kind of player. Dude is 6'8" with 35-inch arms. Jesus Christ, that dude is literally Godzilla, and I love him on that team with that big run, tough style type of offense. They got one of my favorite players, Jalen Armour-Davis. I don't want to go too far ahead with the Ravens because everyone knows they won the draft. Kyle Hamilton in the first round. Linderbaum in the first round. Falele. My guy, Jalen Armour-Davis. Ojabo. Oh, man, they filled in everything they needed to with really good talent. Not to mention Travis Jones. Travis Jones, a defensive tackle. They were big fans of Jordan Davis. They didn't get that, but they got Travis Jones. And Kyle Ham. Oh, man, they're going to be nasty. They're going to be nasty this year. And as a Chargers fan, I'm scared. As an AFC South fan, if you're not the fan of the Ravens, you should be shaking in your boots, man. And then I want to talk about honorable mention, the Seahawks. They didn't have, I didn't consider them a winner because they didn't make themselves a playoff contender yet, but they got Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen, good DBs. You know I love my DBs, and those are two ones that I like. I think they'll fit well with this Seahawks secondary, and I think they can help transform it to what they want it to be. And I love that for them, especially knowing that they were once home of the Legion of Boom. Seahawks love running backs, and Kenneth Walker is arguably the best running back in the draft. Cross is their starting tackle, and Lucas is their swing tackle. Boom. Very solid. Really good pick. Really good pickups. They filled their edge need with one good edge in Mafe and one with potential. We know how important the edge position is. They're not a playoff team yet, but they improved a lot after this draft. Very solid draft. Seahawks for honorable mention. And I hate to say it, Chiefs, honorable mention for winners in this draft. I don't like Sky Moore, but they didn't reach for him, and Mahomes will make him better. Mahomes can make me better. Mahomes can make me look like freaking Wes Welker out there. So Sky Moore on that team fits really well, even though I don't like the player. McDuffie and Chanel breaks my heart. Two of my favorite players in the whole draft go to the Chiefs. I hate that, but I love that for them if I were a Chiefs fan. I built a connection with them, man. I built a connection with McDuffie and Chanel, and to see them both go to Arrowhead, oof. Whatever, man. It's all good. Karlaftis is such a good pickup for them. Man, that's really solid too, man. That's really solid. I cannot lie. Kennard, I wanted to go to the LA Chargers. He's a good tackle and can maybe even be a better guard, as a lot of professionals are projecting him to maybe move over to guard. Kennard has the biggest hands in the draft. The biggest hands in the draft. Good pickup. Brian Cook is a true DB, and that's becoming even more valuable by the day in this league. Chiefs are looking pretty good. But my favorite pick in the whole entire draft is my guy, George Pickens. I think this will be the best receiver out of this class. Only fell down because of injury. He went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, this guy screams AJ Green. Same 40 times, same measurables. He looks great on tape. The hands look great on tape. He was projected. I'm sorry. And then they also got the 4.2 speed in Calvin Austin, and he was projected to go to the Chargers in a lot of drafts as a speedy receiver. But the same reason the Chargers would get him is the same reason the Steelers would get him, as they have Chase Claypool, a deep threat. They have Deontay Johnson, who's kind of similar to Keenan Allen in my opinion, and Sky and Calvin Austin takes the top off of that defense. And then you got George Pickens to really develop in that group of wide receivers and that great wide receiver coaching staff the Steelers are known for, to really be the best that he can be. George Pickens is my favorite pick, coupled with Calvin Austin. Those two might be my favorite picks in the whole entire draft, man. Wow, good job, Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they messed up with picking Kenny Pickens. They could have went Trent McDuffie and get a true cornerback one. They could have even went Devontae Wyatt, even Jermaine Johnson. That would have made this draft so much better for them, and they would have been winners along with the guys that I spoke about before. And they could have even made Pittsburgh a prime destination for any disgruntled quarterback to want to join. Kind of how Deshaun Watson had a place to choose, and he chose the Cleveland Browns because they have a good nucleus. I could have seen that for Pittsburgh. But no, they went with Kenny Pickett, and who knows, I might be wrong. He might be a good quarterback, and he might even be the one to lead them to the promised land. I doubt it. I don't think he's that good. I think they should have went with a cornerback or Devontae Wyatt. But I'll give them a chance. I wouldn't consider them honorable mention, but I do love what they did with George Pickens. The way I graded the drafts is by what they can do the first year with these rookies and where it puts their team for the next 4 years, which is the duration of their rookie contract. That's how I graded these drafts. And with a second focus on the value of the picks, I think that's important, but not as important as what these rookies can do for this team the next 4 years, and especially the rookie year. And that's how I graded my draft. I see the Eagles jumping up to NFC champions. I see the Ravens jumping up to AFC champion contenders. I see the Jets moving up to playoff contenders from the lowly position they were in last year. I see the Seahawks improving very much, and I also see the Chiefs remaining as they're strong, keeping their stronghold on the AFC East as still favorites in the AFC West. I think they did good, and that should be all of my winners that I have. Like I said, next video I will be talking about NFL fantasy football and my favorite picks for wide receiver and running back. You do not want to miss that. If you stayed for the whole time, I want to thank you, kings and queens, and watch out for my next video. I'm improving at this. I'm getting together some technology, learning, the best way I can do my technology, also learning how to read to the camera and how to speak my mind to the camera. So bear with me. As long as you guys get the information and as long as you guys are able to build your own analysis through my analysis, then that's all I'm here for, man. Until next time, kings and queens, have a great evening or morning or night, whatever time you're watching this video.